Welcome into Dragon Ball Super Dope. My name is Kyle. Thank you for checking this out. Time for our monthly manga review. Chapter 77 of Dragon Ball Super. Bardock, the father of Goku. GB had to call in sick today or whatever. I guess he had a family emergency that isn't necessarily dire, but he will now have to drive a very long distance. So he had to bail on recording tonight. I am joined by my friend Hayden from the Dokkan Wen podcast. Hayden, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing pretty good today, honestly. You had a very nice and fun, relaxing day, truly.
Opposite of my day.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I had to start my day off by getting a goddamn COVID test. The nasal swabs made me feel not very good. Then I had to read this dog shit chapter afterwards.
I can understand the COVID. There was one time for work, I had to take a COVID test like 4 days in a row because they were, yeah. I took it the one day, came back negative. The work was like, oh, you got to go take it again so we can make sure. I go take it. They have reimbursed me every time. I go take it. So, just to be safe, because, 4 days in a row, I had to go get that stupid, 6-inch nasal swab.
Nah, forget that, man. I'm going to a wedding on Friday. So they're asking for proof of negative tests within 3 previous days. So that's what I did this morning. And then I read this dog shit chapter. So I was just telling Hayden before we hit record, I got this one review a long time ago. It's like 1 star. First of all, 1 star on Apple Podcasts. What are you, a douche? Second of all, quit whining. That was a review. Stop whining. Just enjoy it. And I think about that comment every once in a while, and I say to myself, yeah, maybe I am whining too much. Maybe I should just shut the fuck up and enjoy it. But admittedly, I think I do that a lot of the time. Dragon Ball Super is not very good as a whole. Cool to have it back. I love it. I love having a new Dragon Ball to talk about. Sure. But when it comes down to my whining, it comes from a place of frustration, I guess I would probably say. It comes from a place of, me wanting it to be better than it is. And it's especially frustrating when they seed an arc or the beginning of a story with so much hope and promise like they did with this Granolah, the Survivor arc. And then they get to what seems to be, close to the end. We'll say maybe the final third of the chapter, last arc. The final act in the arc. And it's shit in the bed again, in my opinion. I have found myself to be very much in the minority today, and that a lot of people genuinely loved the shit out of this chapter. So let's just acknowledge right out front, I'm in the minority, and I'm about to probably, I don't want to say bitch, but I will say point out some inconsistencies in the writing of this shitty ass chapter. That said is my preamble. Hayden, how did you feel as a whole about this chapter?
Okay, as a whole of this chapter, I was telling a little bit, I'm kind of more, I like it 80% of the way through. There are some things I disliked about it, and I was telling you prior of it. I'm sure we'll get into it, but I'm more towards, I like this chapter. I don't love this chapter, but I did enjoy this chapter. I was reading it for the 3rd time as we were getting ready for this, because I liked it.
Yeah, and you were telling me too that Bardock's one of your favorite characters, so any kind of screen time that you get for him is it's a win.
Oh, absolutely. Second favorite behind Future Gohan. But yeah, Bardock's such a cool thing. I did like aside for the fact Dragon Ball has 2 canonical openings, anime wise or whatever, I like Bardock as a whole.
So I think a lot of people are kind of in the same camp. They like Bardock as a character, so the fact that he's in this chapter is exactly Bardock could have came into this chapter and done this flashback and taken a fucking shit on a paper plate, and people would have been like, wow, this was so goddamn good. Oh my gosh, we love you, Bardock. Thanks for being the greatest Dragon Ball character ever. They're just happy to see him. But when it comes down to what this chapter was set up to be, this is kind of where my frustration for this chapter started last month, when they were like, Bardock is the guy who saved us. And I was like, great, we're going to get a Bardock flashback this month. Or this was me saying it in the month of September. We mostly already knew what we were going to get for this October chapter. And there wasn't really too many things I don't know, they didn't give us in the spoilers, in terms of like the big broad strokes of the chapter, some of the finer details with like Alec and Muesli, and that's how you pronounce it. I looked it up, Muesli. Some of those finer details were like the things that I enjoyed about this chapter. I didn't completely hate it, but in terms of like the direction that this is the story, the story needed to take, I don't think this was it. One of the things that the spoilers gave us was the acknowledgement of Minato telling this story back to Goku and Vegeta, and Goku being like, "My dad, huh? I don't really know. I was raised on Earth," and Vegeta confirming like Bardock is your dad. And I was like, yeah, I assumed maybe that would have came up at a certain point in their conversation as friends or comrades on the battlefield over the last 20 years. Apparently not. Goku couldn't give any less of a shit. But what Vegeta then follows up with is apparently your soft-hearted nature runs in your family. And yeah, man, it apparently made everybody feel like I felt last month. Like they're taking a dump on the character of Goku and denigrating what he is and how he was supposed to have descended from a savage, Saiyan family. And now he's a good-hearted Saiyan from Earth because he bumped his head, like kind of undercutting the uniqueness of Goku. Do you follow any of that part of the Dragon Ball Twitter?
I do not, but I was kind of getting the feel. I heard you say about you didn't like that aspect of Bardock. I think we discussed it in our thing about how Bardock was kind of taking away the good of Goku, the uniqueness of him. And I was going into this chapter after this conversation like, there's no way. I'm not going to admit that Kyle's right. No, I don't want to. No. Then I read the chapter. Shit.
Yeah, no, I pretty much called, not everything, but I called a lot of the big broad strokes of what would happen in this chapter last month. And then again, when we talked, me and GB guested on Dokkan When. There's a link in the show notes if you want to hear that. If you play Dokkan Battle or not, it's still a pretty good episode. Go take a listen to it. But when we guested there, I think that's when I talked about a little bit more about how this kind of undercuts what Goku is as a main character. Like, we love him because he isn't what everyone thought that he was supposed to be. Vegeta shows up to Earth and he's like, "What do you mean you don't remember your mission? What do you mean you're a low-class warrior? You can't fight with me." And Goku consistently overcomes those, what's the right word? Consistently overcomes those stereotypes, I guess, that were kind of placed upon him because of his, his status or where he originated from. And just like the overall general nature of the Saiyans, like he transcends all that shit, and that's what makes Goku cool. That's why we root for him, especially once we realize he's like a space alien. He turns into a monkey and shit,
Yeah, that was honestly kind of a disappointment. I went back to kind of watch some of the episode of Bardock Special, the original one, and that one had more of the battle hardened that I thought of the badass, not as kind. And I like that as the better father for Goku. This Bardock, I do like Bardock either way, but the fact is that the niceness does take away from the uniqueness. If it was more of Gine that had the niceness to it, I would have made a little bit more sense. Made some sense because the kindness of what Saiyans can be if they aren't a battle fighter. A fighter.
With battle fighter. Cool.
It sounds like an old PlayStation game.
That sounds like a cool fucking band name.
Truly.
But I think Gine was kind of my concession in Goku being a soft-hearted Saiyan for a long time. Like, once you learn who Gine is and that she's like it's like, oh my God, Goku has a mom. Oh my God, she seems to not be a complete asshole like Bardock was held out to be in the Bardock episode, the special.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, the idea of Bardock, or the idea of Goku being maybe inherently more kind-hearted because he had a soft-hearted mother and somehow that trickled in through his genetics. That's my concession. Okay, I can see that. But now Bardock's a good fucking guy too. Like, I just, but the fact that Vegeta points it out so clearly, like what I was yelling last month, it's just genetics now? Apparently it's just genetic. He comes out and says it. Now, in the translation from the scans over the week, the word apparently is in there. The official translation from Caleb Cook at Viz today does not have the word apparently in there. I think it just says Soft-hearted nature runs in your soft-hearted nature runs in your family. That's for sure. So the word apparently was doing a lot of work for people on Twitter this week, saying like, just because he says apparently doesn't mean that that's the case. Like, we don't know. Vegeta doesn't know Bardock. I'd actually contest that a little bit as well. Not only does Vegeta go on to share Bardock's name with Goku in the chapter, but little kid Vegeta kicked it with little kid Raditz. Little kid Raditz, by the way, best cameo of the chapter, outside his dad's house playing with like a bug or a crab looking thing or something. It's cool. Yeah. Anyway, Vegeta knows enough about Bardock and that's one thing that I think is kind of weird. Like, it's never been brought up to him. Like Vegeta, like Prince of the Saiyans, like recruiting people for Saiyan Pride Week and shit like that. He never was like, hey, Kakarot, remember that time we spent a couple years in the hyperbolic time chamber together? Yeah, you want to learn about your dad? What the fuck do they talk about for 2 years? Apparently not each other's dads, ever. Not once.
Super Saiyans. My son can beat your son.
Yeah, probably. Vegeta does kind of suck in that way too, I guess.
Vegeta's
just like, oh, sorry. I didn't think you wondered about it. I didn't care enough to bring it up.
It's going to be a random thing, but have you ever heard of the show, The Amazing World of Gumball?
I know that I've watched it, but I don't really know it. I know that it's on Cartoon Network. I know what the art looks like, but... There
is an episode of The Amazing World of Gumball that I made that joke that now pop in my head of all the main people have their mothers going as, my mother's the best, my mother's the best, and they haven't gone through all sorts of stupid trials for an entire day. I'm now imagining Goku and Vegeta, hey, Kakarot, my son's better than your son. No way, Vegeta. And they just send them down stupid quests for an entire day. I
could see that just as easily going the other way where they're like, my dad can beat up your dad. My dad was a king. Well, my dad led like Saiyan strike teams to go exterminate planets. What'd your dad do? Just wore a purple cape and got fucking kicked in the head by Frieza and shit. I don't know. I could see it going either way. So the apparently Vegeta soft-hearted bullshit quote this week, I thought it was a fun way to go into this chapter. Like people already disagreeing about stupid translations from like a fan translation or whatever. Dragon Ball Twitter is so fun. 2. All right. So I don't really want to run down like a specific sequence of events because honestly, if you're imagine if you're listening to this podcast, you probably read the chapter. And if you have not read the chapter, the way in which we'll talk about all this stuff, you'll get it from like context, I guess. But I don't want to run down shit linearly because it's not very interesting in my opinion. So we're doing these big broad stroke topics this week. Topic number 2, Mo Naito. What a dickhead friend, man. If I had a friend like Monaito for 40 goddamn years, I'd have kicked him out the fucking window. What do you think about Monaito?
Honestly, I truly, it pissed me off. One of the things I'll say that I did not like about this chapter was literally later on in the chapter, once he finally tells Granolah everything that happened, you were saved by a Saiyan. Your mother wasn't killed by a Saiyan. You were saved by a Saiyan. Why didn't you tell me? I don't know. That's pretty much that's what pissed me off. I was like, Monaito, dude, you could have just got drunk one night and at least said something, but no. Of all that did piss me off. It's just a plot advancement that shouldn't have happened, and it pissed me off.
The actual quote is, "Yep, sorry for keeping that from you. No further explanation needed. Okay, thanks for not telling me why you never told me this very important thing about my life." Like, it's twofold too. Like, not only did he not tell, like that was the question last month. It's like, why did Monaito not tell him that he was saved by a Saiyan? Especially given how much of a hate hard-on he's had for Saiyans over the last 40 years. It's not like some guy you see like once a year or like bump into on your planet every once in a while. This dude lived in your fucking house and you've just let him stew for 40 years trying to get his revenge on a race that you previously, until like a couple of days ago, thought did not exist anymore. So you just letting him be stewing at a race that you thought was extinct for 40 years. For what? Why? Why would you do that? That's not a good friend. And then we learned this month that he watched his mother get fucking murdered by Alec, the dude who has since gone on to employ Granolah and his strength to do like bounty hunt missions and shit like that. He lets Granolah work for Alec despite the fact that he watched Alec murder his fucking mom. What?
Yeah.
The fuck kind of friend is that? And I guess I'll tack on to that thought / question. What the fuck kind of chapter is this?
uh, it's. I'm gonna say it's somebody who doesn't know a lot about plot advancement and thought this was the right way. That really does tick me off. That I get like thought crossed my mind is the only reason he didn't say anything was there's nothing for him to hate, so he can hate it as much as he wants. But then whenever he found out that the Saiyans were, there, he should have said it right then and there, as opposed to in the middle of battle. You know, Granola's taking on the gods of Saiyans, and then he's like, "Oh, Granolah, hold the phone." Yeah.
Actually, these Saiyan
Do we
dudes
say
aren't
he's the
so
worst
bad.
Namekian? Say he's the worst Namekian.
He's definitely the worst Namekian on planet fucking Serial. Not a very high bar to set. I guess he coincidentally is also the best Namekian, like by default. So
The dead ones are the better ones. They at least helped in some way.
yeah, my favorite Namekian is that big fat dead one who fucking passed on the powers of One for All to Manito, so that way he could have the power of the Dragon Ball still, or however the fuck that worked.
I found it funny.
Did you think anything of how? I mean, we saw it in the chapter, like the Frieza army, Frieza soldiers, like rounding up all these Namekians and then blasting them to death. And we saw the big fat Namekian hold out the two little tiny Dragon Balls and be like, "These are yours now. Don't fuck up, Manito. Get away from here." Did you think anything of that awkward exchange of Dragon Ball power / activity?
I didn't like. I didn't like it because the lack of context. I say context. A lack of information to it. So I didn't like that part. I laughed at how much he looked like Super Kami, the Elder Kai, the Elder Guru from Planet Namek. I laughed for a
100%.
solid few minutes in that in class, looking crazy while I was laughing. But still,
Hey man, Super Kami Guru shout outs are always appreciated.
but I didn't. At first, I thought he was the Guardian the entire time, not somebody else was above him. So it's basically just he's been played off as the Guardian. Someone knew, here's the Guardian before me. You don't know anything about him, don't know his name. You're the Guardian now. I did not like that part.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like there's so many, well, not so many. There is the instances in which we've seen the power of God change hands. It's like kind of convoluted, and I don't think we've ever seen like specific powers around it, but I'm almost positive that they don't work like take these two Dragon Balls that I happen to have on my person, and now that I die, I've transferred them over to you. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. In the case of Guru, he dies, the Namekian Dragon Balls turn to stone, they get wished back to Earth, I believe. Dende makes a new set of Dragon Balls, and with like a less restrictions on the rules, I believe is how that one goes.
That was for Kami. For the actual Elder Kai, what he did was they were wished back. Like he was brought back to life for a very short time, and then they put his hand on what's the name of that Namekian?
Dende.
Not Dende, the one who's actually held now is the Guardian of the Purunga Dragon Balls.
Oh yeah, I don't know that fucking dude's name.
I don't. He basically just touched him. Here, power. And then transferred it to him.
Okay, so I mean, I guess that could be it.
I think it's just more of like the physical contact. Like it's not even like it's like this is gonna be a random thing. I do a lot of, but Steven Universe, they have a thing called fusion in there where they dance and then they fuse, and that's just more of a semantic. They can literally just fuse at any point. I think that him touching it and passing it on like that was more of just for show. And it's just the immediate contact of if they touch contact and he's wanting to pass the power on, then it would immediately the power would transfer. That's the only thing I could surmise that makes sense.
It's the equivalent of eating a piece of All Might's hair. Yes.
Eat this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Although it's like in the first movie, I think, or the second movie, I forget. Whichever one that he like temporarily fucking touches it to Bakugo with like the blood in his fingers. I'm like, oh shit, he's passing on the power, dude. Cool. But like it was very, short-term shit. Either way, the way in which you just described it, I'm actually very fine with how he gets the powers of the dragon or the powers of the Kami of that Earth or that planet or whatever.
Touch my balls, you'll get my power.
Yeah, I'm fine with that headcanon, dude. That makes more sense. However, doesn't absolve the dude of being a shitty ass friend.
Oh no.
And just like, I don't know. I felt like I felt like I was getting trolled at certain points by Toyotaro during this chapter. One of them is the Manito line, like, "Yep, sorry I kept that from you. No further explanation needed at all." And I'm just like, "Fuck you, Toyotaro. You know that I was wondering about that," and he's just not going to explain it. And then there was two from Bardock. One of them is when he first brings Granolah and Muesli back to Manito, and they like ask for refuge to stay there or whatever. He's like, "Why did you save them?" And I'm wondering the same goddamn thing, because 30 seconds ago, Bardock was great ape form, fucking up the entire goddamn planet and trying to exterminate all life on it. The moon gets blown up, which, by the way, that whole sequence where they blew up the moon and like the Cerealians versus the Saiyans, that was probably the coolest fucking part about this chapter. I wish they'd done more of that, but they were real quick to ditch it, have Bardock just see a baby, get reminded of his new baby, even though he already had a baby before, but now he's got two babies, so he doesn't want to fuck up the second baby like he did with Raditz, I guess. I don't know.
That part, I sent you a joke on Instagram maybe 2 weeks ago about a fake panel of Granolah being said he's Bardock's son.
Yep.
And that thought was going through my mind. I read that little panel on the bottom right left that said, "Of course you'd miss your child's birth." And my thought, it had nothing else with it. My brain immediately thought that Granolah was his half son, and that was what's her name? Muesli saying it to Bardock. I was like, no way. Granolah cannot be half Saiyan. No.
That's actually a pretty good point. I don't think I realized that quote happened on a page flip. That's a good point. I wonder if that's another instance of dude trolling us.
I saw it. That's literally my first thought was, holy fuck, no. I don't know. No. Kyle cannot be, no.
Well, I mean, imagine. I've seen so many stupid people this week. Yeah, just he bar-dicked her down before he traveled 10 years back into the past after he met her to bar-dick her down so that way he'd be Granolah's dad. And that's actually not a theory that I saw, but like it's actually not entirely too far off from some of the stupidity I've witnessed this week. But yeah, now that you point that one out, that's the second troll. I'm getting Trollyotaro'd moments. The third one comes from, he rescues he rescues Muesli and Granolah, brings them back to Manito, and he's like, "Why'd you do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why did you do that?" He's like, "I just felt like it, okay?" And I'm like, what the fuck? That's not a reason. What do you mean you just felt like it, okay? Like, you couldn't even attempt to articulate the fact that, like, I got a kid, I can't kill a kid. You couldn't, that would, if you'd done that, if they'd said just that, those two stupid, dumb sentences, even though it still contributes to the idea of Bardock being a more soft-hearted guy or whatever, I would have accepted that over, I don't know, I felt like it, okay? Like, I think one thing they actually did do to Bardock in this chapter, probably unintentionally, I don't know, maybe it's just to try to draw other parallels to Goku, is he's fucking dumb. Bardock's dumb as fuck. That was the best way that he could articulate it, probably. I don't know, I feel like it, okay? And then later on, when they have the flashback with Gine, he's like looking at it like he's fucking never seen a baby before. And Gine's like, dude, you've seen a baby before. He's like, yeah, I have seen a baby before. What do you want to name the baby? Pick a good name. Carrot. Like, Bardock is fucking stupid. All right? I don't think they intentionally did that in this chapter. I don't think they sought out to do that. But they did. All right. That's my third Trollyotarou moment. And then the fourth one comes in the second flashback when he, like, the kid, I don't know, I think he knocks the kid out. He's hiding from the Hidas after he overhears the plan. And he's like, oh, what's gotten into me? Like, he literally thinks to himself, why am I doing this? What's gotten into me? And I'm like, yeah, I know. What? Seriously, what has gotten into you? This makes zero sense for how you were acting like a fucking hour ago.
Yeah.
Trollyotarou. Trollyotarou.
Yeah, I did pick up on that. Like you, of the at least that aspect. I think the second time I had read it, that Bardock was literally one of the ones helping destroy the planet. I did think it was cool that he saw Granolah and isn't it Muesli? Is that her name?
Yeah, so I actually took a screenshot because, of course, there's some kind of pun going on with her name, right? So it's Muse, like Jason
okay.
Muse,
okay,
Muesli. Muesli is a cold oatmeal dish based on rolled oats and ingredients such as grain, nuts, seeds, and fresher dried fruits. Muesli. Yep.
Wow. Can't be Dragon Ball without something. And I was actually thinking about the name of Bardock naming Goku. What if he stuttered when he came up with the name? He was going to say his name's just Karat, and he said Karat. Karat.
Yeah, that was the day that Bardock suddenly developed a conscience and a stuttering problem, and Goku's been paying the price ever since.
That's another thing I didn't like, is he literally just did a full 180, considering he just killed who knows how many. Sees this one and is like, yeah, why not? I'm not gonna. Kid or not, I didn't. That was one I did not like. It
did Bardock
think the entirety of what had just happened?
Did Bardock think that Granolah was the only fucking kid on the planet?
Maybe.
Does Bardock think that he didn't already just murder a bunch of fucking kids? Probably. I know that they say that there's not many people that live on the planet, and that made it much easier for them to take it over and all that. But Granola's the one little kid. I don't think that is the case. And if that is the case, if that is not the case, that means Bardock has already previously killed little kids again about 30 seconds ago with his giant fucking ape feet.
Yeah. It could be one of those things. I can't remember what it was, but a child is born once every 400 years or something like that.
Do they say something like that with the Cerealians?
No. I can't. It's not this. I can't remember what it was. I remember seeing something a while back at some anime that had a child is born every 400 years. So that one is the only one. And that one helps basically repopulate everything. That's not the Cerealians. I was saying.
Oh, is that the setup for a harem anime? So that way the main character can spread his dick around? I mean, his seed.
Probably.
That makes sense.
It was either that or a Seth MacFarlane show where they're in space. They're all a ripoff of Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. The Orville, right?
Yeah, something like that. It's one of those two things. That's way off topic. The thought just crossed my mind. I'm sorry.
No, man, welcome to Super Dope. The shit like that happens to me all the time. So those trolling moments bring us to that second flashback. So the first flashback, Bardock, the moon gets destroyed. Bardock's no longer a giant ape. He sees a kid running. He chases the kid, gets to his mother. Okay, he saves them. Great. The second flashback is them already at, they've already kind of reconvened with Manito, and they're close by to the Heaters, and they hear the Heaters' plan that they basically plan to sell the planet for a much, I guess this actually kind of brings me to, I want to talk about the cloak scene and how it's fucking stupid, but the Heaters' role is more explicitly explained, and it's something that I've sort of wondered about, and I've been like, isn't this what Frieza was doing? Frieza was based off of, real estate moguls in Japan, in the 1990s, and all these people who were amassing all of this property and power. That's what Toriyama kind of had in mind when he made a character like Frieza. Not in terms of the visuals, obviously, but in terms of the mindset and what the character did. So it's always been my understanding that Frieza had the Frieza Force or the Frieza Army, however you want to phrase it, to go and exterminate these planets for him, and then he and his family would sell them and make a bunch of fucking money. Apparently that's not the case. Apparently they just have all the power with the army, and they've got some middlemen, brokers, who are the Heaters, who not only jip Frieza on his cut by overselling things to, they plan to sell to the Cerealians for however many POL, I think is what.
100 million for that, and they're going to give a 1/10 to the Frieza Force, which you'd think he'd be smarter than that.
I mean, here's actually kind of why I bring it up. I hate that they've taken a dump all over Goku by bringing Bardock into the way they have. They're bringing Bardock in the way they have and showing him act the way he does. It just makes Goku feel less unique. But I also kind of have a bit of a beef with how they've treated Frieza through little things like this. I'm firmly of the mind that I don't think we're going to see Frieza in this arc. We might not see him at all, which I think is fine, but he served his purpose. You can leave him out of it at this point. And this little detail today of Frieza doesn't even broker his own deals. I'm like, the fuck's Frieza do then? Just be big, strong, badass with the biggest, battle power in the galaxy, so everyone has to bow down to him. Is that what he's been reduced to? Because that kind of undercuts, in my opinion, like the brains and the savvy and the charisma that he's got. It's like, oh, he just has that by happenstance. It's not because he's like a salesman and like really smart and a good leader. I don't know. The heaters doing this shit kind of bummed me out. Do you feel any type of way about it or what?
Oh yeah, that was something like I said, I truly thought, at least if not Frieza, that well, I can't remember the name of the older lady that was in the Dragon Ball Super movie, like his right hand attendant. I thought it'd be like her crew would go. Yeah, like I thought it'd be them that would go do the brokering, if not Frieza himself. So the fact that he sent people out, I did think that maybe I missed something in prior weeks, but I did like that little connection of, and I could have absolutely missed it. I didn't realize that the heaters were directly connected to Frieza in that sense. I thought they just knew of him and wanted him gone. So I like that connection. It could like me just missing over. I like that connection of them actually working for Frieza. I did not like the fact at first it seemed like they were just going to buy Frieza. The way it had played off to be is we're going to get enough money, we're going to buy the Frieza Force and kill Frieza. But
yeah, so I kind of remember when they first started coming around as characters, like I talked about the fact that they used one of the big baddies from the Moral arc, OG-73, that robot that they subsequently cloned, and you know, they have Granolah come in and fucking wharf his ass, like a army of them, in like the first chapter of this arc. But I remember learning about the Heaters and being like, oh, that's interesting. They use intelligence and like tactics like that over brute force like Frieza. They have wealth, so they're willing to utilize that kind of stuff. Maybe that's why, you know, they could never step to Frieza in like a physical confrontation, but they've been having to work for a long time to try to be able to put themselves in a position to overthrow him. 40 years, I mean, it's kind of a long fucking plan for revenge, but it's neither here nor there. What they did today, though, was, I don't know, they kind of accentuated what I just said. Like 40 years is a long time for revenge. Like, I don't know. They say this plan out loud about how they want to overthrow Frieza and how they're not meant to serve that stupid space lizard or whatever the fuck they call him. And Bardock, they hear the whole thing. Bardock, Manito, they overhear the whole thing. So now Bardock's aware that there's going to be shit, dude. I hate that I stopped to point this out. Bardock's now aware that there's going to be like an attempted uprising against Frieza, at least in terms of the Heaters. They have aspirations to overthrow him because he's a shit bum, right? And then like the next day, he's like, fuck it. I'm going to uprise and overthrow Frieza too. Fuck all this. Like, it's not coming from a place of passion or me being a good guy. It's actually because I heard these people back here were talking about it, so I figured I'd get a jump start. But he's close enough to hear it within ear. That's mostly a joke, what I just said. Don't take it seriously. But he is within earshot, right? So he's got his scouter on. I'm just saying, like, the idea of scouters being able to be like an eavesdropping device for Frieza at all times, that was a pretty prominent plot point in the Namek arc to like learn how the Dragon Balls worked, wasn't it? Or where the Dragon Balls were. Actually, I should know this pretty prominent plot point, I guess. Huh? What a dick. Anyway, my point is, we know that they have those capabilities. That's kind of an afterthought here, though. I guess Frieza's not checking in on the comms to hear about this Heaters plan. The cloak scene, though. Oh, that's pretty much it. The cloak scene was cool. Why?
It made Bardock look like the absolute badass that he was in his olden days. That was such a cool still shot, honestly. Like, I'm actually going to get that and probably put it as a background on my computer. That was a badass shot. I don't know why it was just so badass.
Follow-up question.
Yo.
Did the badass cloak serve its purpose?
Yeah. Well, he looked badass.
There's two answers. Yes. There's two answers to that question. Your answer, yes, because he looked badass. And no, because once Alec comes up behind him, like the idea is he's like, Manito, give me your cloak. They're aware that we're here. I'm going to try to save this situation right here. Give me your cloak so they don't know who I am, I guess. Yeah. Do you think Alec would have recognized Bardock by sight if he had seen his face? I don't know that he would have. I know that some lower level Saiyan called Bardock Sir earlier in the chapter. So maybe Bardock's a person of note in Frieza's army. But I'm willing to bet if Heaters had like come up on Bardock and he turned around and he's like, what's up? He'd have been like, who the fuck are you got? I don't know. He puts the cloak on anyway to like cloak, pun fully intended, his identity. And Alec comes up on him. He's like, hey, you want to freeze his guys, right? Doesn't even have to turn around. He's just like, I see the cloak, and you must want to freeze his guys, right?
It's a Superman effect.
It's not even the Superman effect, dude. He's like, I don't want to be recognized as one of Frieza's guys. Let me put this cloak on. And then somebody walks up to him and goes, hey, you want to freeze his guys, right? It was so stupid.
Yeah, I will admit to that. It looks cool, but
it did look cool as hell. The shot of him with the cloak on looked dope as fuck. And I bet you within the next fucking 10 years, there will be like an SH Figure Arts figure that comes out that's like Bardock Dragon Ball Super with his cloak accessory. And I'm going to have to buy it because it's going to look so fucking cool. And that's why Bardock got the cloak, dude.
Yeah. You don't know Dokkan, but there's a thing in there that allows characters to change the clothes they wear mid-battle. We're going to get a base Bardock to Jim just putting on the cloak, and that's all it is. I want this now.
You're welcome. That's your next unit talk or whatever. Unit talk sounds like you guys sit around and talk about dicks. Unit meaning Dokkan cards.
Yes, that too.
Good one, dude.
Kyle, everybody.
Yeah, that was good.
Truly, the cloak, I did not, like, aside from the looks of it, it didn't serve any purpose. Literally, the first thought I thought of was Superman. He put on the glasses, but couldn't be seen, and that I don't understand.
But he was seen immediately. I mean, he wasn't anybody of note. Anyway, this is all just a precursor to what's going to be next month's chapter, which, in case them setting up a flashback chapter where we pretty much know what's going to happen the month previous, in case having that chapter this month wasn't enough for you, we're going to get more of the flashback next month in the form of Gas versus Bardock. Now, I'm actually kind of on the fence about this. I like the idea of seeing Gas and Bardock fight. I hope it'll be an entertaining fight. Action sequences in this arc have been really, really, really well done. Storytelling started off going really well, and now it's kind of getting to a point where they're like, hey, isn't this cool? Cool, right? Don't get mad when the story don't make sense, though. Ignore these panels of us acknowledging the problem of our own shitty writing. Like, they think that, like, acknowledgement is absolvement. I don't think... Absolvement? Is that the word? I think it is now. Absolve this motherfucking shitty writing. That's my point.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gas versus Bardock next month.
I'm excited.
Yeah, but here's the thing. How do you think it's going to go, Hayden? Who do you think is going to win?
Bardock always. Bardock.
Do you think that Gas is gonna die?
Maybe.
No, because he's still alive in the fucking future.
Hey, they could have already found the Dragon Balls and wished him back.
Maybe, except they just learned about the Dragon Balls a couple of chapters ago, so I don't think that's the case either.
Different Dragon Balls.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure that they didn't have any idea about these crazy wish orbs. It doesn't matter. My point is...
I'm being stupid.
Story of my life. The point is, I think that Gas versus Bardock could be a very cool thing if it's done quickly, like a few pages worth. That's all we really need, just to know that Bardock fucking humiliates Gas and have Gas's quote unquote revenge. More on that in a moment, but have it tie into that a little bit more fluidly. But I just know that a big chunk of this chapter next month is just going to be big splash pages of these two fighting across a planet, beating the crap out of each other, and then Bardock ultimately humiliating the shit out of Gas, so much to the point that he carries a grudge against Saiyans and this planet, apparently, for the next 40 fucking years. How do I know that? Because they tell me that at the fucking last page again this month. Last month's page, Manito, hey, Bardock's your dad, dude. Great. That means we're going to get a flashback of that next month. This month's shit, hey, Bardock kicked the shit out of me, dog. So now I'm going to have to see it play out in all of its fucking bombastic, action-packed glory. Hopefully, best case scenario, next month, but I already know the predetermined outcome. But they're going to stretch it into an entire chapter probably when they don't need to.
I will not suffer such an indignity ever again, is what he says. So...
What did Bardock do? Teabag you after he knocked you out in front of all your homies? Like, what the fuck, man? And indignity. And here's my other beef with this fucking problem, dude. Oh, okay. So you've thought about this day every day for like the last 40 years or whatever. That's cool. Question. How did Goku and Vegeta become aware of Granolah in the first place? Wasn't it because the Hida gang became aware of two Saiyans that may have potentially had ties to Frieza, that they could all kind of turn each other against them? So they sent Maki and Oil out to Earth to go get them to quote unquote fight the big bad guy Granolah and brought him to this planet in the fucking first place. Do you mean to tell me that the Hida gang lured Vegeta and Goku to planet Cereal and Gas has yet to see what Goku looks like? Because what do you think's gonna happen when Gas sees Goku? He's gonna be like, oh, that's the guy who whooped my ass 40 years ago that I've thought about every single day for no inexplicable reason other than it was an ass whooping.
Yeah.
The story makes zero fucking sense. I kind of appreciate them trying to tie some old shit in, but they've done it in such a way where they just shit on old, or they shit on better previously established stuff.
Yeah. As I've been thinking about it, that whole little aspect of the Gas versus soon to be Gas, say soon, next month's Gas versus Bardock. I'm really liking the idea of Goku fighting Gas later on, because as he's going to be fighting it, they're going to have these similarities that Gas will be having flashbacks fighting.
This is going to be terrible, dude.
I personally think it, in my opinion.
No, you just called the end of the arc. Not only is this not going to be an opportunity for Granolah or Vegeta to get the win against people who fucking murdered their planet and murdered their mother and shit, it's going to be Goku's dumb fucking luck to get paired up with the big bad at the end because Granola's already been sacrificed or whatever. Vegeta's on the goddamn sideline, and it'll be the villain Gas and like his ultimate final, I used a wish on the Dragon Balls or fused with something form, whatever it ends up being. And they're going to have that just so that way they can have those Bardock little tie-ins and be like, oh, I'm getting my ass whooped again by a guy who looks like the same guy who whooped my ass 40 years ago, who I lured to this planet less than a fucking week ago, but I apparently forgot what he looked like.
Yeah. As I've been thinking about, I actually do want to have my little thoughts on the end of the chapter. If I could take a shot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off again?
No. I'm sorry if I'm making you so angry, Kyle. It's
not intention. You. Trust me, Hayden. I don't know you well enough to let you affect me this deeply. Goku, on the other hand, I've been running with that motherfucker for most of the last 25 years.
I have awoken something. But anyway.
It's not you, Hayden. It's chapter 77, Bardock the father of Goku, motherfucker.
I know. No, I know that.
All
I
right,
just
give me your thoughts so that I can breathe before I have a heart attack and die.
Okay. It is not going, my personal thoughts as I've thought about it is not going to be Goku Vegeta getting the win. It will be Granolah doing the overall killing, but he's going to have himself die in the aspect of it. I think what he's going to do is actually, Monaido is not going to die. That's something that was said prior. I think Granolah is going to wish them all dead. Like wish them all out of there. That way there's no sort of problem. It's just a thought I've had. Because Granolah is kind of being built up as that last standing hero, will do anything to save everybody. So he'll be basically, I'm the strongest thing. They can't beat me. And they're also wish to be as strong as me, which is I'm assuming their wish is going to be. So there's only one way to do this. Dragon, kill us all. Hey, Vegeta, I'm sorry for everything I've harbored towards you and your family. And Goku, I'll tell your father about you in the after. Tell your father about you in the after.
Pretty wild theory, dude.
I played Dogen. That's the best I got for you.
So Bonaito has had, I guess, 2 fuck ups, right?
Yeah.
A couple of chapters back, when he realizes that Granolah made the wish for this power and, subjecting his last 150 years worth of his life to 3 years, he says, I've failed you again. And I've been thinking to myself for a few months, the fuck did that mean? When did you fail him previously? This month, we got the answer to that, and him being like the bystander of watching his mom Muesli get murdered. So, and then you factor in the third thing of him being a shitty roommate not mentioned in this shit for 40 years. So I imagine Bonaito is going to have to be put in some kind of like redemption seeking mode. So at the end of this chapter, when they're having the end of this flashback. We see Gas, and he says the quote that you mentioned. Alec pulls out one of the Dragon Balls and says it's always useful to have insurance, basically equating to the fact that they're going to get the second Dragon Ball, and they're going to make a wish to have their strongest fighter, I assume their strongest fighter in Gas, become the strongest in the universe or whatever, and instead of Granolah. So I can very easily envision a situation where they summon the dragon, they realize it, and Manito, before the wish is able to be granted, offs himself, kills himself, sacrifices himself somehow, so that the Dragon Balls are inactive and they are unable to, make that wish to make Gas basically immortal. And then Granolah, feeling super bummed about his adoptive dad sacrificing himself, will be like, all right, now I know the Saiyans aren't terrible people. They've saved me once before. Now Manito's saved us. I have to work with the Saiyans in the honor of Manito and defeat the Hida gang. And that I feel like that'll be Granola's inciting incident to join. Inciting incident's maybe not the right word, but his catalyst maybe to be able to get him to team up with Goku and Vegeta. We all know he's a ticking time bomb, though. He's going to burn through that power.
Yeah.
He was ready to burn through the end of it, I think last month versus Vegeta, and said, fuck it, I don't care. I'll waste all of this power and see you in hell. So we know that's the case for him. Like, he's a ticking time bomb in terms of how long he's got left. He's going to burn through that power. And then it could just be the Goku and Vegeta show at the end of this arc again, in which case we get some cool Bardock flashbacks like you just made me think about a few minutes ago. I'm still thinking about it, and I'm actually really mad because it's so fucking likely that they do exactly what we just said. So that's how I feel about Gas's revenge. Oh, I mean, do you have... I wanted to see if you had any specifics on what the Dragon Ball wish could be from the Hidas. If they were to get it, I imagine I'm just popping in immortality as like a catch-all.
Immortality is something that did cross my mind, but I don't think, at least this dragon, I don't think could give immortality, because if you wish for something like Granolah wished to be the strongest thing in the universe, a very powerful wish had a very big repercussion. So I feel like if they wished for immortality, had immortality, but you'd be reduced to a power level of like 5. I do not think the unless they do like 2 wishes. I don't remember the recharge time on the Dragon Balls, these 2 dual ones.
It doesn't seem like there's much I don't know if they spent any time inactive, if I'm being honest.
So
which is kind of cool.
Unless they did something like, I wish to be the strongest. Okay, wait a day. I wish to be immortal. I feel like it would counterbalance each other. I wish to be immortal, and then I wish to be the strongest to counterbalance. But I don't think it'd be the immortal, because of the repercussions. It would be giving away every ounce of strength you have to live forever, or, because in Granola's sense, give away every ounce of life to be the strongest ever.
Yeah. So maybe that could be it. I honestly don't think the wish will even come into play. I think this Manito killing himself thing is almost a certainty, because he's been so much of a shithead. There's almost no way he walks away from the end of this arc alive. Like,
I'm gonna call it. Everything is gonna happen, and then after everything is done, then he's gonna kill himself. After everything is said and done. All right, guys, you did it. Now, guess what? Bye. Oh, man, I wanted to...
In true Manito fashion, he's going to be like, oh, man, those guys used the Dragon Balls to become the strongest in the universe. What's that? There's no recharge time on those Dragon Balls. You could use them again pretty much the next day. Well, I feel real bad about these guys becoming the strongest in the universe. Guess I'll kill myself.
Yeah.
That's how shitty Manito is.
Yeah, that's what after everything's said and done. Don't worry, I'll help. We'll make sure they don't grant a 3rd wish.
All right, man. Bardock versus Gas flashback next month.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope it's a quick thing, but I imagine they'll take the opportunity to make it an entire chapter. This arc has ground to a slow crawl, man. Like, Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego Vegeta happened like a full 3 months ago, and it feels like the last significant thing to happen in this fight, outside of Manito showing up and being like, hey, dude, your dad. Hey, dude, your mom. That's pretty much what's happened this month.
I now just want a picture of him. Somebody should just edit the panel. Just your mom, your dad.
Hey, dude, your dad. Hey, man, your mom. Hey, sorry your dad's dead. Sorry your mom's dead, too. Like, Monito, what are you fucking good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Good God. You have any other predictions for next month?
They're going to get the second Dragon Ball next month and make the wish at the end of the chapter.
Ooh. I feel like that's best case scenario. I bet you they fucking pad out finding that second Dragon Ball. Like it's a month after that. Like that'll be our Christmas wish that the Heaters finally found the second Dragon Ball.
If they go the whole chapter of Bardock versus Gas, it is going to be not next chapter, but if they have more of like, say 50-50, they're going to find the second Dragon Ball and be in the act of making the wish or have already made the wish and everybody senses the power. Just, oh shit, the world starts shaking or something like that.
It could be it. I mean, they did a good job this month. As much as I don't like the chapter, I did like the fact that I don't know. I liked and disliked the fact that so much of it was flashbacks, but they broke it up into two separate flashbacks and had that little conjoining piece in between where they're like, oh yeah, Bardock's my dad, huh? Well, I don't know anything about that. I'm a Saiyan from Earth. My grandpa Gohan raised my ass, you know? Like, I like that they had that little thing in between. The second flashback, I think, was a lot cooler.
Yeah.
But it's only because I've known about that first flashback now for like 7, 8, 10 days. Like, I understand this is how they market the comic. They market the series with spoilers, but like, sometimes, dude, like, it makes me almost want to avoid spoilers, which doing what I do with a Dragon Ball podcast is virtually fucking impossible. God forbid I accidentally open Instagram or Twitter one day not thinking, oh, I'm logged in as Super Dope. Oh, shit. Go follow me on Instagram at DB Super Dope, you fucks.
The Dokkan Win podcast, too.
I was going to say, dude, talk to me about your show as we wrap this thing up. What's the pitch to get my Super Dopers? Because I failed to come up with a better name for them. What's the pitch to get them to go listen to the Dokkan Win podcast?
Let me crack my neck really quick. Let me get my Dragon Ball stretches before I go into this.
You got to do like that Goku hamstring stretch and then move it over to the other side. Yep. Yo, my favorite one is when the kids like drop the weighted wristbands and they're like and like move their wrists a million times really fast back and forth. That's my favorite Dragon Ball stretch. Yeah, just like that.
There we go.
Let me loosen up my wrist and I'm gonna jerk off my dick. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Do you out there like Dragon Ball, Dokkan Battle? Come over and check out Dokkan When. We discuss aspects of the game, our favorites, dislikes. We're going to be discussing in our upcoming episode in 2 weeks. We upload every 2 weeks. We're going to be uploading the end of Dokkan. Our thoughts on how Dokkan Battle could end in the next years. If you want to hear us gripe about how units are good or bad, come check out Dokkan What, a spinoff of Dokkan When. If you want to hear us interview people, I've seen a lot of things from Kyle. If you want to see,
I had to think about what you just said. Dokkan What, Dokkan When. It's all in the same podcast feed, right?
Exactly. Go check out Dokkan When on the wrong side, Spotify. If you go check out KH, the letters KH Hauser on YouTube, you can also find it there. If you want to hear us interview people like we technically did in Kyle and JB in our episode 2 days ago, it's called Dokkan Who. Come check it out. Yeah, if you like Dokkan, come check us out. We're a lot of fun. We're stupid. Yeah.
So let me point out a reason why you're stupid real quick. You can't be setting up your podcast pitch with Dokkan Who, What, When, Where, and Why, bro. You just call it Dokkan When. And then when you get to a show notes, you do a Dokkan Who and the thing. And you're like, Dokkan Who, Kyle and GB from Dragon Ball Super Dope. Dokkan What, the end of Dokkan. Dokkan When, regular old episode.
I made the name in about 2 minutes. It's the best I got.
No, dude, it's there, but you're confusing your own branding efforts, baby. You got to be consistent. Dokkan When, Dokkan Now.
Yeah, just in the end, it's Dokkan When. These are just offshoots. I call them spinoffs, but Dokkan When is the main primary thing.
Because we have like because I have a proper spinoff, and I'll tell you what, my friend, it's a fucking pain in the ass. I don't advise you do it. That's why I stopped and asked, because I was like, wait a minute. This kid really got 3 fucking feeds about Dokkan right now. Oh no.
Yeah, I'd say we do. I'd say overall wise, we do pretty good. Like we basically, when is where we discuss our opinions. What is we look at the new stuff. Who is where we talk to new people.
So the name of your podcast is Dokkan When.
Yes.
And then your subtitle headings or whatever for your episode. That's what your episode title should be. Dokkan When, the subject, or Dokkan whatever. Dokkan What, the subject. Dokkan Who, the person. Yeah. And that way you're able to help with your SEO a little bit more with like your search rankings and shit like that.
Okay.
Hopefully anyway. I don't know. I'm spitballing, dude. I think about podcasts way too frequently. I pitched a client the other day. I think I came on a little too strong because I fucking love podcasts so much.
But yeah,
Anyway.
we're about to actually celebrate our 1 year anniversary in less than a month. So we're also kind of adapting to all of this fun stuff.
Cool, man. Well, I'm sorry I just shit all over your names and made you think way too much about it. If I made you insecure, I'm sorry.
You came onto my podcast with your own theme music. You already made me feel insecure, my friend.
Hold up. I'm just going to say.
Idea. I know. It was my idea.
Yeah. Not only was it your idea, but I listened to it last night, right? I'm going to leave an episode description in the show note or episode link in the show notes. Go check it out.
It didn't work right.
The noise gate on Discord or whatever picked up that I had background music going.
I'm sorry.
And just stopped it. And I didn't realize that was how it was going to be. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it at all. I do all my shit through Zoom. Like I use my phone up on my microphone, not super frequently, but enough to know that it typically works. I didn't think Discord's noise cancellation was going to do that. I sound like a fucking asshole. You guys want to hear me sound like an asshole? Links in the show notes. Go listen to it.
It wasn't my thing. I don't know why OBS did that. It was OBS that was actually that messed up on that. I heard everything. OBS didn't pick it up. So I can probably go through and fix it. That was my bad.
OBS is going to get beat the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like the entire company. One broadcaster studio, I think, maybe. Coming for you. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Dragon Ball Super Dope. Hayden, I appreciate you checking in with me on this manga review. It was great to get to talk to you.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Talk with you again soon. Chapter 78, November 20th. Going to be just around Thanksgiving time. All right. And you're going to be thanking God that Bardock's giving us gas. And by gas, I mean like beating his ass. Now I can't stop rhyming. And my timing is nothing to be fucked with. God damn it, I can't land any planes. I have problems landing on my planes. Just like Toyotaro does with landing a fucking arc, you goddamn hack. I'm glad you make pretty pictures. Learn why fucking characters might think about doing things and then what those actions might be that make the characters go, oh, instead of just like, oh yeah, my bad. Oh yeah, I just felt like it. You fucking hack. Goodbye.